Hello everyone, this is Neve from Tactica Imperialis and welcome to this new episode of Adeptus Podcastus. No, do not adjust your set, Remleiz is currently unavailable due to the grind, as I'm going to put it. I think if you've seen some of his community posts, you'll know probably what the grind is, but I won't say any more to avoid spoilers. But he has asked me to run Podcastus without him this week, so in absentia of Remleiz, I decided to go and get the nearest thing you can get to Remleiz, which is Remleiz's Acolyte. Ladies and gentlemen, making a long overdue return to Adeptus Podcastus, Naerina.
Hello, and thank you. It's very good to be here. Also, already an interrogator, actually.
Yes, you've been promoted from Acolyte. I always forget this part.
That's all right. It's not something that I already go around and just shout about, hey, I'm an interrogator now, whoop-a-diddly-doo.
No, it's not something an agent of the Imperium would go around shouting about.
I do believe that one might have some talkings to if one went around just shouting that about.
Absolutely. Full disclosure, this is going to be one of those episodes that probably goes on what I like to call winding rambles to nowhere. Because
absolutely.
One, Naerina hasn't been here in a hot minute. Two, it's girls' night. 3, it's teachers' night.
Yeah.
4, it's parents' night.
Whoop, whoop.
And 5, there's bugger all in the news. So
there are going to be tangents galore. Enjoy, dearies.
Indeed. Just as a reference, because we talked about them a lot in the previous episode, did you see the big summer preview where they dropped?
I saw parts of it. And I did listen to the podcasters, but I was very much focused on, because I did the kind of quality control on it, I was focused on, okay, do the pictures come in when they should be? And I was like, yeah, they're talking of this, good. They're talking of this, good. And I wasn't focusing on anything that you actually talked about.
Well, you saw the pictures at the very least.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
Any particular highlights?
I really like that. Goodness gracious, where is it? Because I'm looking at the pictures as I'm speaking. Was it? I don't remember the name of the salamander that was remade.
Podcastus.
Yeah. He looked amazing.
I'm surprised you didn't pick the Chaos Dwarves.
Of course, Chaos Dwarves are amazing as well, but because regardless of how many years pass, TTS will still be a very big part of my love for 40k. So every time I see a character that has something to do or was a part of TTS, I'm like, oh, I know this one. Oh, they made a new one. This is so cool.
Yes. Votan lives, stomp,
absolutely. And Vulcan is dead. Again.
Do you realise there's an entire generation of viewers now who have no idea what any of these inside jokes are?
Oh, shush, we're not that old, are we?
Well, I remember watching TTS. It was on, I remember it came on my recommended feed completely at random in my first year at uni. For context, that was 10 years ago this year.
Oh, God, we are
started old. By that point, Magnus was already in it, and I think it was the first episode with the Ultramarines in it. It was one of the mid-20s episodes, and by the time, it's been a good 5+ years since TTS ended. So there is a chunk of people. Every single kid I've taken through my school Warhammer club, which is a good few dozen by now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had 4 or 5 leave the club. I left school and gone on to start their own projects, and one went on to do Night Lords, one's gone on to do Orcs and Admech, and one's gone on. It was genuinely. I think I can talk about this now because they've left school, so I think it's fair. We'd made an agreement that they were going to buy some minis off me, some old Orc minis I no longer wanted, and I didn't see their class that day, but I did have them for parents' evening, and they were first for parents' evening. So literally my parents' evening started with, I had their report on my desk, obviously, and we did all the stuff with their reports, but I had the reports and just quietly under the table I had a box of Meganobs and was just like, right, there's your Orcs, there's 20 quid, that's a good start to my parents' evening, thank you very much.
Oh, goodness gracious, that sounds like, nothing illegal's going on in here, and these are not the substances you're looking for. This crack is plastic, don't look at it. It
was just it's a funny story I always like to tell. No, but yeah, it's just seeing where the students have come with it, but I also know now that if I make a TTS joke, none of them will understand it. I
Oh
Not
goodness,
a single
yeah.
one of them will understand a joke about. Oh God, there is just so many iconic jokes. Yeah, Vulcan is dead again, being a good one. Um, all the warp rantings of Magnus and uh,
And Kitten and Shadow Sun.
yeah, like literally none of us play Custodes because they're super elite and super expensive and it would be unfair. But I've not had to run into a Kitten Shadow Sun joke yet, and I get the feeling that if someone ever collects Custodes, I'm going to end up, if they get Valorous, I'm going to go, no, no, that's Captain General Kitten. And they're going to be like,
Indeed.
why are you calling him Kitten? It's like, long story, but also they swear all over the place. I can't even recommend you the video.
Like, you can just say, I cannot really recommend the video for you, but if you happen to be interested in some recreational activity when it comes to videos, I might just write something on the blackboard right now. Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get that one through.
Aw.
But never mind. But the reason I bring this up is because obviously one of the last things shown at that show was Kill Team with the new Necron Canoptech constructs, and
Oh, yeah.
someone got a little bit leaky poos and may have accidentally shown some stuff a little bit too enthusiastically, meaning that GW had to respond. And they did respond, and they responded by showing off the not next, not the next one, not the one after, the third thing to come out for Kill Team because they had to time
Ooh.
skip because this got leaked. And what they decided that they had to show was two things. The first, I think, will interest you a lot more, is a new kill team for the Adeptus Sororitas
Yes.
alongside the Night Lords. So literally, I've got the U kill team and the Remleiz kill team
Yeah,
in
I
the
was
same
just about to
box.
say, like, Ram, where are you? When do we play? Will you teach me?
Yes. But so this is the Celestian Insidiant kill team, which are the Anti-Psyker sisters, apparently.
Nice.
So they've got null field generator power maces, and they've got condemner bolt guns knocking around. Um,
Ooh.
so that you've got the condemner bolt gun Reliquarius, who carries around obviously a relic banner as you do.
Mm.
The Denuncia, who denounces people with a giant speaker, of course.
I can just
Um,
imagine them just going, no, no, just no.
the Mortis Sanctus, who is basically trying so hard to be the Emperor's champion from the Black Templars, and it's just not happening, sister.
Oh.
Um, the Censor, who is just, I have a giant steam mace and you will like it.
Oh
The
my.
Abjurer, who has a ginormous inquisitorial shield, and I approve of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Alongside Cremators, who have hand flamers and bonking nullfield mace sticks.
Nice.
Um, and a couple of basic warriors who again have the condemner bolt guns and the null maces. These are some really, really cool minis that they've done. They fit very much within the vibe of Sisters, but still feel unique. But I'm going to stop talking because I'm sure you've got many things you would like to say.
Well, first of all, I'm going to start with a tangent because I'm very good at it. Because just this week, we had the school picture day. Well, I'm technically working two schools. This was the first school picture day. We had actually 2 days because, like, on the first day, I was there as a teacher with the classroom or with the class that I'm responsible for, just posing like, hey, I'm a teacher, like in regular clothes. And on the second day, we had the teachers pick. And of course, I'm there wearing my, basic clothes, and as a t-shirt, I had a fleur-de-lis from the Sisters of Battle.
Okay, that's really cool.
And they're like, "Hi, I'm the resident nerd." And then like we have some new teachers there as well, and one of these people is also a nerd. I'm like, oh, a fellow nerd. And now our music teacher has gotten very interested in like TTRPGs, and we're like, yes, join us.
One of us. Yeah,
Indeed.
I've been exactly there with finding colleagues who have like either stumbled into it or I've told them about it. I think I've converted 3 or 4 members of staff at school to
Very good.
to Warhammer. Some of them play it separately to me and do it outside. Actually, some of them actually are very, very good competitive players.
Ooh.
But others I know are pretty much in it because they heard about it through me or they've got friends or whatever. And it's just like, one of us. One of us.
So just to
It is.
continue this tangent, and I'm curious, which armies are the most popular in your club or within your staff?
Oh, the staff there's no crossover. I've got Tau, Inquisition, Orcs, Thousand Suns, and Chaos Space Marines. My co-runner has Votan, Sisters, Eldari, um, and then there's a couple who stop in for a cup of coffee now and then who've got well, one of them's a kill team specialist and the other one's Drakari. So we don't actually have any crossover among the kids.
Hmm.
A lot of them don't have armies
Yeah,
because,
understandable.
well, I've told them not to buy any. So there's a lot of Space Marines from Warhammer Alliance, which is a great program if you want to start a club. Like get in with Warhammer Alliance if your country has it,
Hmm.
or something like that. I think the UK definitely does it. I don't know if it's a thing outside the UK. I'd have to check. And then there's some who've gone and started their own projects. There's one who went Marines and bought a knight, but is now going orcs. There's another one who's just become the prime Smurf specialist because they got to paint a Calgar and are now completely stuck on punching everything with the gauntlets of Ultramar. Um, Another one I've pretty much converted to chaos by simply showing them the new Emperor's Children, and they went,
Well, that will
at
do it.
yeah, so a lot of it is what they're exposed to, and that's down to us to show them as many different armies as possible. Which I've tried to do, but I think a lot of them are getting a little bit sick of getting curb stomped by a spacesuit to the face
Yeah.
whenever they run into my Tau, because my Tau are the final boss, and I didn't go completely unbeaten this year, but I certainly, unless I was throwing for content, I did not lose many games.
Well, the final boss is a final boss for a reason.
Absolutely. Anyway, the kill team.
Yeah, yes, the kill team. Sorry for the tangent, everyone. Anyway, like, as per usual, I'm always looking at the posing and the kind of detailing in the painting and the sculpting, etc. And of course, because a kill team does not have that many minis in it, it doesn't matter if, there are a bit more details, because think about making like 10 of these, well, not perhaps superiors, but cremators, for instance, like for an army, or even 20 or something like that. You will go absolutely insane. Though, for instance, the cremators are not that detailed. However, like when you look at those minis, they just have this wonderful, is it a cape or a drape or something like that on the other shoulder? And how it is sculptured, I really love it, because
It
it's
looks very
actually,
organic.
yeah, it looks organic and it looks like it has mass, and it's kind of like, it moves, it's like heavy, it's like armored fabric, it moves, and like, I think it
It
moves
obeys the laws of physics.
yeah, indeed. And I think in some of these, at least, it moves even better than the quote-unquote skirt part.
Yeah, the cloak tabard is very much constricted by the legs. You can't really have it just whipping round the legs like it's just about to trip them up. But these do, as you say, they feel like they have weight to them.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with them being like the superior having hers in red really helps it pop. And I think they would have all benefited from having that red spot color
Yeah.
accentuated again. But that's just, and you can paint them however you like. That's completely up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you look at, for instance, the reliquarius, do you say it like that?
Reliquarius.
Reliquarius. There is like a hint of red, like behind that tabard thing. But think about it when you're like painting it. You're like, okay, I'm trying to reach it from under there, and I know it's not gonna be that pretty, but still, this kind of course, pop of color for the superior. You see instantly where she is, but. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think more of these should have that kind of pop of color otherwise as well.
You won't have an issue of colour with their counterparts, however, the Murder Wing. So this is a Night Lord's mixed jetpack kill team. So it's a mix of Raptors and Warp Talons and a full-on Chaos Lord, which I think has made some people quite cross because Kill Team Elites were not popular, and Kill Team full-on named characters I think is going to be even less popular
Yeah.
within Kill Teams themselves. But putting that to one side, because that Chaos Lord is...
Is that Chaos Lord
base
standing on smoke?
Yeah, is it the same as the Chaos Lord with Jump Pack multi-part kit? Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a design you could make with the Chaos Lord with Jump Pack? I just want to get a better look at it. Yeah, it is. It's straight out of the box. So there is a Chaos Lord with Jump Pack that exists. They made a really cool kit of it a few months ago, last year, and it's just they've taken that kit and planted it in here.
Oh yeah, they have.
So that's fine. There might be a couple of Night Lord special parts. I don't know. I haven't seen the full detail of the kit, but it's not a brand new sculpt to my knowledge. It's the normal kit with an upgrade sprue at most. The rest of them, however, are completely unique with tactical rocks galore. I think
I noticed that as well.
Yes, the champion I think looks really, really cool. Plasma pistol, just a basic power sword. I think that's a good tactical rock as well. It's not just a rock; it's a full-on broken pillar that he's standing on. I kind of like that. I do, however, note that I think that if you get 10 in I think you might only get 5 in the box, or you might get 10. It doesn't say whether you get 5 or 10. But the Depredator or Depredator, I don't know how to say that, with the double-handed chain axe, which also looks sick as hell, has the same tactical rock. So
it does the exact same.
So either what I think they're doing is either you can make one set of 5 with each one having 2 build options, or it's 10 with repeating parts, because it's the same with the Huntmaster, who's got a really cool like polearm sphere, who looks great, by the way.
Absolutely.
He has the same tactical rock as one of the raptors further down, so I think that it's 5 with 2 build options for each.
I think that's how it must be, because if it isn't, then at some point there is going to be a box for tactical rocks and nothing else.
I think you might well be right. But they have done some really cool stuff. The Warp Talon, just simple Warp Talon at the end, looks nice, because I've built Warp Talons and they are annoying. But I think probably the most out there one is the Curse Claw, who's like half demon.
Yeah, that is such a badass look, and I love the fact that the helmet has an actual mouth.
Agreed.
It is
that's a really
such
nice
a horrifying image. Like, think about, like, I want to think that the person who designed this one was like, okay, here we have a Space Marine, here we have a scary Space Marine. How do I make this even scarier? I'll make the mouth part open. Very good. And of course, add the wings, etc., etc. But still.
I can't tell if you assume possessed, but also with the nature of warp mutation, they may not be possessed. It looks like what a possessed raptor would look like to me.
Yeah.
But I could very much be wrong. They also go on to say that the kill zones they're doing with the Tomb World, they're actually going to allow you in there when you eventually get this box, which is called Shadow Hunt, which is a long, long way off, so don't feel like this is going to show up soon. They're going to allow you to play multi-leveled games. So you have 2 boards at once, one representing above ground and one representing below ground.
That would
and
be
you
nice.
play at once on both, where you can jump up and down between the boards as well, which will be really cool to navigate from a gameplay perspective, or it'll be absolutely awful.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was visiting Warhammer World with my friend, and then there was this one table that I was like looking at it. It looked amazing because it had multiple levels, and it was like very clearly like close quarters combat kind of like situation, or you could play something like along like those lines there. And the first thought I had was like, okay, how do I A, move my troops in there, B, how do I get them away from there eventually when I have ended when the game has ended? Because it was very cool, very intricate, and of course I have never played a game with a like proper army or anything. But I was like, I think if I had an army and I played with a table like this, don't remember if it was for a kill team or anything, I'm pretty sure that I would lose at least one of my minis there, just because I just forget it was lurking somewhere.
That is very fair. However, the big reveal out of Kill Team this week was actually what waits at the bottom of the Tomb World. Because the Shadowhunt dossier, it says, talks about joint ops, where you work your way through the Tomb complex to reach a radiant power source. That power source is an updated, upgraded, and quite frankly horrifying iteration of the Catan Shard of the Nightbringer.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
what a glow up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just like looking at the scarabs and the colors, like whoever painted this, excellent job. Excellent
Accurate.
gradients. And the kind of machine-like indie bits, quote unquote, on his robe. That is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's I think it's interesting because obviously we got the Void Dragon a few years ago when Necrons got redone for 9th edition, and the Nightbringer and the Deceiver just kind of got forgotten, not forgotten, but pushed to the back because of the Void Dragon coming along, and this feels like the Nightbringer always should have. Like the Nightbringer mini back in the day was very much limited by what 3rd edition design space could do.
Yeah.
It had to be metal, it had to be fitting in a decent space. You can see it's on literally like a 32mm base.
Yeah.
This feels like a much more like
one.
when you think about the Nightbringer that you saw in Dawn of War, which has recently got its definitive edition released, this feels like what the Nightbringer would be like if you decided to remake Dawn of War with modern mini design. This is kind of what you would get because it represents the Nightbringer a lot better, because you can see where the machine ends and the Necron parts end.
Yeah.
And also the flowing robes. It's for such a monochromatic miniature with green around the base. The colours do a hell of a lot of talking, and as you said, the gradient work is incredible. But you can still tell where the cloak ends and the necrodermis begins, with the silver be just a little bit of a more less blue tone compared to the robes. And it doesn't feel like the old Nightbringer felt like a living being, which it was back then. It was the embodiment of the Nightbringer, but it was always supposed to be a living metal skeleton. This feels like it looks like living metal. Like, I'm not the biggest Marvel fan in the world, but that looks like what the Silver Surfer or Doctor Doom's mask or whatever might genuinely be made of.
Like, I actually feel like they like have this kind of chrome or adamantium or like actual metallic feeling. When I look at this, I'm like, okay, that is a metal guy coming towards me. I'm scared.
Agreed. It is genuinely really, really impressive. And don't get me wrong, I if I compare it to the Void Dragon, I think I prefer the Void Dragon.
What does the Void Dragon look like? I forgot.
It was a few. No, I went to go and get it because they have a link to it on the page. But yes, for the record, there's the Void Dragon. And don't get me wrong, both of them are incredible minis in their own way, and I think it would be entirely down to taste which one is better.
Yeah.
I personally prefer the Void Dragon aesthetically to the Nightbringer, but that takes nothing away from the Nightbringer, and it makes me very excited for when they eventually get round to the Deceiver.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like looking at these two quote unquote side by side, because of course in the Discord chat they are like one above the other. I'm just looking at the kind of like, if I had these two minis next to each other, one could honestly, with these color schemes just used in here, one could make a diorama just based on the colors alone, because there are the same shades of green there, like all the shades of green, for instance. And as
it
you
ties
said,
them together.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, like it just, it is a matter of taste which one you like more. I can't decide. They're just beautiful, both of them. I like the kind of inhumane facelessness of the Void Dragon, like the literal void in it, and then again this kind of the Reaper aspect in this other one. I'm like, I can't choose. They're both so pretty.
Yes, I think the other thing to note is why the Nightbringer is being redone. One, because they can, and 2, they
Yeah.
should have. But it's actually the Nightbringers going into Kill Team.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, so the Nightbringer, and I quote, will be appearing as a non-playable operative in Kill Team. Basically, it's an NPC final boss at the bottom of the Tomb World for
Only
your
played by
warriors to
me.
try and deal with. It says non-playable operative, so I'm assuming it will have like automated rules to play by.
Yeah.
Um, in there, it's also getting a new data sheet for the Necron Codex as well, because there's no way that the old data sheet could live up to this monstrosity. But yeah, I think that's a really cool place to take Kill Team narratively.
Hmm.
Is hey, it's not just hey, here's a skirmish game where you can fight over ultra competitive battlefields. It's hey, here's a narrative campaign where you fight through a tomb world one level at a time, and at the bottom is the freaking Nightbringer,
It's just
which
like
is
D&D.
yeah, it's like an RPG like quest, which is something that Warhammer 40k does not do. It has never quite got that narrative campaign RPG right. And I say this with
Yeah.
full knowledge that Crusade is a thing, and people like Crusade. I like the concept of Crusade. I've never done one, but I like the concept
Hmm.
of your army getting battle scars and honors as it goes on, adding new units or units dying off or picking up injuries or losing numbers. I like the concept of um, Crusade, but Crusade is an open-ended thing. It literally is designed to go on forever. It doesn't have an end point. It has a natural stopping point, but it's not an end in any way, shape, or form. Um, this feels like, hey, if you just want to do a mini enclosed campaign of dungeon running, because that's what this is, it's a dungeon run,
Yeah.
effectively, go and do it. And if they do this right and the dossier works and is not too Necron-y, and that sounds odd to say given it's a tomb world, but like if the design space is there, could you rework it to be the opposite, where you instead of descending into a tomb world, climb a corrupted spire to fight the essence of a greater demon at the top? Could
Yeah.
you have like working your way through a bunker complex in order to shut down an elite kill team of uh, Space Marines? Or if you're doing it the other way, you want to go the other way, have it like, oh, it's recreate the new Grey Knights lore and have a Grey Knight kill team dungeon running to the Golden Throne Room to try and turn on the Terminus decree and put Dad back on the toilet. It's Have you seen that, by the way?
I think I have at some point because that rings a bell.
Yeah, Rem and I we didn't get a chance to talk about it on the last episode. Sorry, sidebar. Um, but the new law around the Terminus Decree implies that the Terminus Decree is something known as the Grey Knights. It essentially resolves around if the Emperor ever tries to leave the Golden Throne, the Grey Knights are going to fight through the Custodes and Co. and put him back.
Like,
Um,
no, no, you're still not done.
which is like, especially because they've reintroduced Starchild theory through the Dawn of Fire series, and they're actually committing to the bit of there is going to probably be the Starchild being a possible new being, or the Emperor remanifesting in the warp in some way. The Grey Knights come and go, nope, back on the toilet, and a bunch of Custodes end up getting killed by the Grey Knights. Then, oh brother,
I
it has
think I've
been
seen these kind of comics in which the Starchild is just doing something and then someone comes and I'm not sure if it was Grey Knights who take him away. Like, nope, 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 don't do it,
it
don't do anything to the Chaos Gods. Back you go.
it it will definitely be the Grey Knights, because that is it is it has been clowned on, and I understand why. Like, I understand you don't want the Emperor to leave the Golden Throne because gods know what happens if he does, but um, I this should be something the Custodes are responsible for, not the Grey Knights.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, going completely off track because I'd rather talk. I'd rather get Remleiz's take on it because we never got a chance. So yes, that's where Kill Team's going. Dungeon runs against the Nightbringer.
I was just
Fun.
wondering, what do you think? Like, will the Nightbringer have these kinds of, well, kind of multiple rules set, like as a final boss to one kill team perhaps, but could it be also a final boss for multiple kill teams? So it could be kind of like two teams versus the game itself or the NPC. So you can kind of
That
cooperate.
that I think will depend. We need to wait probably quite a fair few months until the Shadowhunt dossier comes out, and it
Yeah.
looks at. We want to know how modular it is, because obviously anyone can run a tomb world. Even the Necrons could run a tomb world if they wanted to, because it's a rival dynasty.
Very true.
So the single kill team dungeon running makes sense. The problem is that most kill teams require 2 players to play the game. And then if the final boss is an NPC, which player is sitting it out? Or do they intend for you to combine forces to shut it down? Or do they intend for you to do something else? Or is it that one team's going to knock out the other and then that last player gets to face the final boss? Well, if they do, that's a little bit sad on the player who got beat. So I don't know. We'll need to wait for the dossier, I suspect.
I mean, how fun would it be if it was like, okay, 2 teams versus each other, and then there's this NPC over there, and you get some extra points or something like from that, but you can't beat it by yourself, so you kind of need the other team's help. So you make a truce in order to beat this NPC, but they drop only 1 piece of loot or something like that, and you'll have to fight over it after you're done with the NPC, because then you're just like already out of resources and nobody knows what's going to happen.
I mean, yeah, both of those are definitely options. Like I say, we'll have to see how they decide to play it out.
Yeah, James Workshop, I hope you're listening.
The book's already been written, unfortunately, so nothing we can do about it now.
I mean, they all, like always, they do these kind of, not reprints, but this kind of, what was it again, the joke? Yeah, the book has been printed, but the rules have changed. Something along those lines. Or the book hasn't even been printed yet, and the rules have changed. That's even better.
God. Right. So, minis-wise, that's actually kind of it. Like, I've been flicking through Warcom, just making sure I haven't missed anything. There's a lot of talk around the new Night Haunt and Flesh Eater Courts, who got some minis at the summer preview and are just going through the new rules that they're picking up with their new battle tomes because it's their week. There's some Middle Earth minis. Oh wait, I don't think that we're one of the 5 people that's interested. Sorry.
Nah. Interested in Middle Earth, not the minis.
Sadly, yes. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you see the headline was Chief Undead Officers, who's the best Mortarch to work for in the mortal realms, and they actually list the pros and cons.
I'd seen the article title. I hadn't actually clicked it.
You don't have to read the whole thing. Just check out the pros and cons in it, because yes, I don't. Well, as I said, I don't really play these kinds of tabletop games, and I haven't really played anything fantasy or Age of Sigmar related things. But I started going through these kind of little posters of pros and cons, and trying to come up with reasons to work for each of these. And I must say I'm very food motivated, so sure, and it is. Because it says great food, clears paths for advancement. Then again, of course, nagging feeling something is wrong in the cons, so...
Yeah, it is very good. And unmatched job security because you're an undead ghost.
Yeah.
Low job satisfaction because the Night Haunt are all tormented by Nagash because they did horrible things while they were alive and this is their punishment, etc. You may be seconded to the hindquarters of a horse because the Ossiak are constantly remoulding their legions together in different ways because of the bone tithe.
Which reminds me, another tangent of a tangent of a tangent. I saw in one of these articles, I saw a mini of a ghost horse who only had its front legs. And I was like, the first thing that I was thinking was from the McElroy brothers when they made a parody song of that. I think it was a horse competition or something like that, which went, I have a horse right here, his name is Paul Revere, and he's the ghost of the horse who won last year. Ghost horse, there's no way to beat ghost horse. He flies through the air, of course, etc., etc. And I was there like, what is going on? But yeah, I've been having fun with these miniatures and these lists.
Yes. Speaking of Age of Sigmar and the undead legions, one of the articles a little further along is converting Draconith to make undead hell dragons.
Oh, I saw that.
I'm gonna put the images through so that I can find them, or it makes it easier to edit. But there's a Ossiarch Bone Dragon who's got the mask of Teclis's Selenar mount, and basically it looks like a lot more of the Tomb King's dragon. Yeah, the Necro's Bone Dragon is very much a part of this.
Yeah,
Um,
this is so cool. I think it's that resin, or is it glue? Those kind of bloody parts over there.
it says that it doesn't actually say how she did it. In terms
It's a
of
mystery.
yeah, yeah, it's not made clear. Although I think my favourite has to be the Nighthaunt one, which looks like something straight out of Skyrim. With it's very much the standard kit, but looking at all those spiritual attendants and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't even notice the ghosty boys or girls, whatevs, because I was just so focused on the color scheme and the bells and the chains.
yeah, it's
It's
insane.
beautiful. Absolutely incredibly pretty. I could just look at that like, wow. But yeah, I'm thinking of like when Alduin dies, it's like he's going to look like this.
Yeah, it reminds me of Durnavir in many ways.
Yeah.
And then the Flesh Eater Courts one is just horrifying.
It's kind of like I don't want to I don't want to see this creature like up close. If it was a live one, I'd be just like nope. Of course, the color scheme reminds me of Tyranids a bit, but then again, I think it is very suited, or the color scheme is very suitable for its purpose.
Yes, it says it's all using modelling putty because the idea is that the Flesh Eater Courts have covered it in regal cloth and embroidered heraldry to make sure it flew their colours. What they've actually done is just stitched an amalgamation of flesh to it. So it's really interesting.
It is,
and I think they've done a really good job.
They have. This is like in a horrifyingly, disgustingly way, absolutely beautiful. Like the detail. I love it.
Yes. It is really, 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 really good. And I just, considering we've got a little bit of time, because there's not a lot of minis to talk about, I thought it'd be really cool to just spend some time there. But
yeah, absolutely.
Going from dragons wearing flesh on their heads, shall we talk a little bit about the Votan who wears a Tyranid on his head?
The what?
Yeah, the new Votan named character, Buri Egnisson.
Show me. I'm not sure if I've seen him. I'm not. Might have, but still.
This is the artwork they've put out for him. His mini was in the preview.
All right, that one. That one. Like this. Honestly, this reminds me of Hollow Knight for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So basically, this guy was the last survivor of a block of a league that got eaten by the Nids. So very much like, the old law of, the squats were eaten by the Tyranids. Yeah, this is them. And the Votan went mad because of all the grief of those that died, because the Tyranids weren't interested in eating an AI. It's an AI. They have no biomass to gain.
Yeah.
So the AI's gone mad and no one will go near it in case it corrupts their Votans. So now this guy, Buri, who's the only survivor, is like, right, every single big Tyranid is dying in payment.
That is a badass character.
It literally says, the only inefficiency is this talk, which delays my blade reaching their guts. Take me there, or I will find one who will.
Nice. Such a badass move. Nice.
Yeah, and they also do a load of lore on the new Ironkin units, the strategists and the steeljacks and the evaluators. Honestly, there's loads of cool lore that the new Votan are actually running with. And as I said, one of my colleagues at work is a Votan player, and before we broke up, I made a point of going to find him and going, thoughts? Yes. So I'm very much curious, because they are going to be available by the end of the school holidays when we go back in September. I'm curious to see if there's just going to be a box of them.
In September, right.
Yes, we do. So I'll be very curious to see if there's going to be a box of something sat on the club desk while I'm doing one project. They're doing Votan. I'm very curious to see what they're going to be doing next.
Ah, that's going to be awesome. Also, the artwork about the kind of architecture that the squats have over there, that head mouth structure that has a door in it, I presume, or a window, something, some such,
That's the
reminds me.
Votan itself, I believe.
Yeah,
I would
that
guess.
that reminds me so much of the. Oh, goodness gracious, lost the concept from my head or what the word is. You know that in Lord of the Rings, the two very big stone dudes that are just like guarding the
Oh,
entrance
yes, I know that.
to the.
I don't know what they're called,
What
but
are
I
they
know the one
called?
you mean.
Yeah. But that reminds me of that, and the fact that it is such a big creature, such a big creation. I'm like, oh, I know this, and I love it. It's such a
Yeah,
good
and I
one.
love the fact that there's a bunch of like kin lords arranged almost like it feels very much like dwarven architecture. Like one of the
Yeah,
things with the Votan is that yes, they are dwarves and they are space dwarves and they're all this, but they've gone in such a different direction with them. But they've still got those Tolkien dwarf elements running through
Art
them that
Deco.
partially that, but the big like idea around oaths and grudges and gold and mining and yeah, instead of it being an ancestral book of grudges, they have very clever mega robots. They have AI and just hold big ancestral grudges of their own. And their new rules are all about go grab stuff and hold it at all costs. They've got literal rules that change from rush down to hold ground halfway through
Yeah,
the game, depending on how well they're doing at claiming objectives. And they can supercharge their units using those points, which puts them back on the offensive and all this. Like it's still, if you showed that to someone, they'd go, "Hey, sci-fi space punk dwarves," and people go,
yeah,
"Yes, that's what
absolutely.
exactly what they are."
Yeah,
Warhammer can do what it likes with them, but it still feels like dwarves, and that's I don't know how much that's to be commended versus just like lazy recycling, but it's I don't know.
yeah, but if you have a concept that works, even though it is recycled, why should you change all of it? It does not matter if there are some parts that you keep, because humans love stereotypes and they work well with stereotypes. So if you show this picture to someone and you just say, okay, quick, this thing happens in space, but which fantasy race is this? They most likely will say dwarves because they have a concept already, like, okay, this is what dwarven things, or these are the dwarven things, what they look like, etc. So
Yes,
it's just like building upon the worlds that have been created before.
absolutely, and the squats were designed in like the 90s and were very much just space dwarves, so they were
Mm.
playing within a slightly constricted rule book. But I don't think that's a bad thing. And AOS and 40k, AOS especially, has shown that they can innovate and take very much typical fantasy tropes in very different directions. Cough, Caradron overlords with their sky fleets.
Mm.
Cough, almost everything the Eyed Net Deep can ever do.
Yeah, indeed, like
Um,
Achillean Leviathan.
Yes. However, if you do want to go in a different direction from where the dwarves sometimes go, which is the more sort of Viking aesthetic,
Mhm.
that's a very, very crap segue. But
It doesn't
basically,
matter. We're already tangenting out of tangents, so keep
yes,
up, people.
new books.
New
New
books.
books.
Yes.
I was trying to make a segue to Space Wolves because there's a new Space Wolf, but I've stopped caring. Uh, See, that's my TTS brain showing. Which is called Kraken Blood, which is about a wolf priest being asked to do something by Ulrich the Slayer, challenging the fates themselves. It's very Space Wolves.
Very,
Um,
very
so
spacefuls. Also, you are not doing the Kaldor Draco jokes yet, so we're in the clear. We're not all gone.
no, true. Although I think the coolest, the most interesting of the three books to me is, I can't believe I'm saying this either, the Necron book, Tomb World, because
Really?
because it's about a Triarch Praetorian.
Ah, yeah.
So, context: the Triarch Praetorians are the personal envoys of the Silent King, and never went to sleep. So they've
Goodness.
always been awake, watching over um, the tombs and sometimes even waking them up. And this follows a Triarch Praetorian, and it's all about honor and standing, and it sort of it does have some very typical tropes of this ancient sentinel being asked to redeem themselves, but I love the artwork on the front where she's got these like scales, all these balances, these floating crystalline pyramids. I think that's really fucking cool.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely. That is just
uh,
like the amount of like the amount of detail in the background, for instance, but because it's kind of like just a pattern on the rock or whatever it is, it kind of blends in, but it is so distinctively Necron. It's just like,
mm,
okay, like you just, if you didn't have the character in it, you'd still know what this book was about. And the character in itself, it brings so much this kind of a, as you said, with the pyramids, it's kind of a scale of justice, or what is it, like justice is blind, etc. The scale that they are, like she is holding, the Lady Justice, whatever, but
mm.
it obviously is tilted, so something that might be quite unjust. Also, the fact that there are those kind of, well, I don't know the character, but those kind of the cape thing, whatever it is, it's
The
kind of
character's original. The cape's a new design. So the only Triarch main character we have is the Silent King.
all
All
right,
the Triarch
yeah,
Praetorians, they do have that like arch. That's their jetpack. The big arches on their back. That's their jump pack,
all
and the
right.
staff is standard. The tassels and cloak is unique to this particular character, who is an original.
Yeah, it reminds me of jesters. For some reason, with kind of
Yeah,
jesters hats.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I
And
really like
now
the
we get
design.
doubly sad that Rem's not here because there's also a Night Lord's book. The one episode he's not here,
Oh
there's
yeah.
Night Lord's minis and Night Lord's books.
Oh,
So
I love this font. It's like welcome to the extreme 2000s or 90s or something like that. Oh, I
it is
love
so
it.
edgy. So it's
It
called The
is.
Remnant Blade, about Dalkian Rassak the Skin Taker, former Lord of the Blades of Atrocity. Like,
Who names these things? It's like welcome, honestly, to the rad 90s or early 2000s. I think just someone sat down, watched a bunch of 90s or early 2000s commercials, and then started thinking of names.
yeah, there is so much edge. I feel like I might cut myself just looking at it.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but it's also this idea of he is evil, but there's a new threat, and he needs to like deal with like deposed allies and very few loyalties. A phantom void ship with a renegade tech priest, and
It's such a shame that Rem
yes,
isn't here.
I get the feeling that when this comes out, whatever Rem is reading, unless it's literally like the Scouring novel, he's going to put it down immediately and pick this up. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure that he's going to be there like, yeah, I actually ordered it already. I don't know how I got it already, but yeah, I'm halfway done reading this book. And yeah, I'll return to the other ones a bit later.
Yes. But Black Library weren't even done. They decided to make three special edition books.
Ooh.
And actually, one of these I've even read. Um, so the first one is Assassinorum Kingmaker, which has got, I'll send you the article, which has got a double, like, double assassin. So this is about an Assassinorum execution force, which is when multiple assassin temples get together to do one job.
Ooh.
Um, and that doesn't happen much, where assassins work together.
Yeah, very
So you've
true.
got a uh, Kalidas and a Vindicare who get the front and back covers respectively, um, on a Night World, and it's really really good. I've actually read it and done an episode. I can't remember which one it was now; it was a long time ago, but it was a really really good episode, and I thoroughly recommend that you read this book. You don't have to buy the special edition, but do read the book.
I will put it on my list. At the moment, I'm working through Eisenhorn's Malleus.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, I'm just at the point where there's a parade and everything just starts going wrong.
Sounds about right.
Also,
Um,
like on a tangent of a tangent, I'll let you get back to this because like this is something that always happens to me because I'm bad with names, and I'm like, okay, like people talk of places and names and books. I'm like, all right, all right, all right. And then I was listening because it's an audiobook version of the like Malleus because well I have a long way to drive to work and back, so that's what I do. And I was listening to Malleus and I was like, blah 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 blah. Ravener did this. I'm like, Ravener. There are books about Ravener. Oh, it's a person. Cool.
yes, I'll bring
I
you back
felt
on
so
track to.
stupid. But yeah, go
It's
ahead.
fine. Sister Battle trilogy. Anybody?
Oh,
Saint. Oh, sorry. I stand corrected. Imperial Saints trilogy. Anybody?
works for me as well.
So yes. So Celestine by Andy Clark, Ephrael Stern, the Heretic Saint, and the Triumph of Saint Catherine are being put together in a 3-book legendary edition type thing.
Oh, that
Uh,
looks so
so
pretty.
yeah, have you read any of those 3?
Not yet.
I think Rem's read. I know he's read Triumph of St. Catherine. I'm pretty sure he's read Ephrael Stern. I can't remember. I'm sure he's read Celestine. I just can't remember.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. And then finally is Void Scarred, the Eldar Corsairs novel with a cover so loud. I think the 80s called, and they want their orange luminous paint. Oh my god, that's actually hurt my eyes to look at.
I'm just looking
Uh,
at it. Like, did they hire the same person for this cover as for the Night Lords?
No, this will be one of those that's got the paint that wears off really, really easily. I have a horrible
Ah,
feeling.
oh
I have a
yeah, that's a
horrible,
shame.
horrible feeling. I could be wrong. I could very much be wrong. But I have a horrible feeling that that book is not going to survive very well. It looks fucking cool.
It does.
And also, look at the font down the spine. You were talking about fonts earlier. Look down the
Yeah.
spine of Void Scarred. Look at the
Oh
fucking
yeah.
font. It's awful, but amazing at the same time.
It's very Eldari.
It is. The A is literally the sigil of Asayan.
Mm.
I think. I could be wrong, but I think that's very
Looks
similar
very.
to the sigil of
Look, yeah,
ASEAN.
it's very similar, if nothing else. But honestly, this looks like something like that my darling kiddo would just pick up from the from the bookshelf and be like, "Ooh, this is pretty." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no! Don't touch it yet because you're going to rip out a page like you did with Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix." Yep, one of our Harry Potter books is damaged because of her.
You won't see me crying over it.
Yeah, well, ironically, of course, they are in Finnish, but I was looking at the page, like, which one was it? And on the page, Hermione says something along the lines of, if I translate it, a shame that it broke. And I was like,
Ha!
the irony.
Yes, well, if you really want to break something, then you need a big hammer. And if you need a big hammer, then Joy Toy's got you covered because they've made Perturabo. How's that for a segue?
That's a very good segue. I'm very proud of you. Oh, oh, the amount of detail. Goodness gracious. Studs
Yeah,
everywhere.
the Joy Toy stuff is really, really impressive. In the Warhammer merch sort of section. In fact, they've. Oh, I don't want 10% off. I'm not buying anything.
How much would
But
that be, by the way? Do you have any idea?
That's where I'm going. Is to find out how much Perdurabo's gonna set you back, and where is he? I'm worried. Oh, there he's 140 Great British pounds.
Ah, understandably. Also, I'm just looking at those different colored cords on his midsection and thinking, like, cut the red cord so he won't explode.
Yeah, I mean they have done a really good job to be fair.
Absolutely.
But no, the Joy Toy stuff is obscene. Like the wearable helmet that they revealed is £115. Um,
Goodness.
it is. Some of the basic ones, like there's oh no, they're the ones from Space Marine 2, so they've just been marked up to the nines.
Mm.
But some of them are okay. Like there's an Alpha Legion who's like 40, which is bad, but not redonkulous.
Yeah.
But then you get into like, oh yeah, if you want one of the Space Marine 2 action figures, 60. You want Marnius Calgar, that's 77.
Oh,
You
goodness.
want Titus, 60. You want Exodus, the Alpha Legion Sniper at 65. You want a Predator? That'll be £170, please.
I mean, of course, the prices are characteristic 40k or
Oh,
Games
right. I'm going to.
Workshops, but
Yeah, I
still.
know. It's a good job we're not doing podcasts and doing the price is shite here.
Okay, now everyone take notes.
How much do you reckon they charge for the action figure of an Imperial Knight?
What does it look like?
I'll
Like, I want to
send
see
you
the quality.
It's the same quality as these, as the Perturabo, but I will show
How
it to you in the
how
interest of.
big is it? Like,
It says it has 54 centimeters of height.
54. Goodness, you just like, if you walk around, you'll just fall because of it or something like that. You'll trip on it. I'd say a modest 230 quid. How much is it?
516.
What? 516.
Oh yeah, but you do get the pilot. You get a separate mini of the pilot, Naerina. You have to understand.
Right. Yeah, that's why it's 500. It's like 230 for the pilot,
Yeah, you can
and then
open
the
the
rest of it
cockpit
is
and have the
90.
pilot standing in the top, and then you can take the pilot out and put them on a base.
Oh
And it's
goodness,
like,
that is the world's most expensive Polly Pocket.
and the helmet, the lights in the helmet can glow if you put two LEDs in, which have got batteries.
Oh god.
I know it is freaking obscene.
Okay, now we shall remember that it was, what was it? 516? Like,
Yeah,
if
but
this
Remleiz
will be
always goes
asked.
on eBay.com, so it will never happen. Remleiz always uses
Aww.
eBay for
But we know
quizcasters, but
we know now that kind of base worth. So if we go to eBay, it'll be like double that.
either double or half, yeah, depending on what
Yeah,
mood you're
yeah.
in. No, it's ridiculous.
It is.
But there we go. That is the news. Like, unless I think the one thing that Games Workshop made a really bad job of talking about, and that we did talk about a bit, and probably didn't do enough because we had so much to talk about with Sotet last episode, is it's 10 years of Age of Sigmar now.
Already?
Yeah.
Where's the time gone?
I know. Again, this was when I started university. Was when I remember doing my first videos on Age of Sigmar right before I went to university, and then I started an Elfin Adventure, my Daughters of Cain project.
Time really does fly, goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back then, and it was just meme after meme after meme of just ground marines and all these other things. And
Oh, I remember the
I
Ground Marines.
yeah, I do think they did a pretty poor job with the start of AOS. Like, they really did struggle to get it going because they just dropped, hey, here's basic corn dudes and here's basic orcs and Stormcast, who are very controversial, and we're not going to explain them for an entire
Yeah.
edition, even though they're really actually narratively interesting.
I
Oh,
think
do
they
you
were
like
trying to like.
elves?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'll go.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, were they trying to go via the route of like, all right, we have these old school fantasy players over here, and we're kind of trying to bring the fantasy element back. So here are the things that plus some little extra. We're not gonna explain it yet, just kind of spoon feeding you this, because
Which is fine, but don't make them your fucking poster boy.
yeah, it's kind of like, well, if you want to bring back fantasy, and don't do this. But now I think that Age of Sigmar has honestly done so many kind of leaps forward with the design work and the lore work, etc., etc., etc. So I'm quite proud of the progress there has been.
Absolutely. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting it to come as fully fleshed out as fantasy or 40, God forbid, 40k.
Yeah, I
But
remember. I was like, okay, they brought a kind of spin-off of fantasy to this world, yay! But honestly, it has developed into directions I was never even thinking about, and I'm very, very proud of them.
yeah, to go back to your old RPG roots, it's like they made themselves the ultimate sandbox, but decided that they decided that what they would do is, hey, let's create a ginormous sandbox of nine or ten separate pocket dimensions, which are
Mm.
incalculably vast that you could never cross from one side to the other in your lifetime. And even if you did, you'd die because of magic at the end anyway. Um, which is fine, making a possibly huge sandbox. But we're only going to talk about one battle on a basic plane in the realm of
Yeah.
fire
Yeah.
to start with, and then we're going to introduce orcs, but not talk about the realm of beasts. And then we'll just talk about the realm of life, and we'll put Ilariel, Ilariel, right? She's riding a giant beetle now, and where are the wood elf? Oh, what's a wood elf? No one talk about wood elves. Look at the tree people instead. I'm
Yeah.
just shush, 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 shush. And then the dwarves, like, oh, you like dwarves? Yeah, they're just angry people that work for Sigmar now. But you can have fire dwarves. Do you like slayers? You like Gotrek? Have an entire army that look like Gotrek, and then they actually fucking brought Gotrek back.
Mm.
And then they did Seraphon as like, hey, lizard men, but now they're light demons. Sort of. That
Kinda.
was weird because they survived the end of the fantasy world. Okay, the Slan did, and then they just replicated the Seraphon as celestial manifestations of the Lustria they remember, and it's like, okay, way to recycle the miniature range.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of it sounds as a law point, it sounds very kind of like, yeah, we're not doing recycling at all. This is not in any way meta this or meta that, and everyone's like, yeah, yeah, you're recycling.
Yeah, but then like they got, I don't know where the point was. Like it was somewhere in first, but particularly in second, where they just found another gear. Like Flesh Eater
Mm.
Courts, I think, was the start of it because the new Crypt Ghouls and the and the Ghoul King and the Terrorgeist were. I know the Terrorgeist, I think, was technically before um, AOS, although I can't remember now if the Terrorgeist was the thing. I know the Zombie Dragon was, but I can't remember about the Terrorgeist now. But they really did something cool with the Flesh Eater Courts and definitely weren't just retconned Britannia. Shush. Um, that running joke will never die because they literally encourage it every time they write something. Um, they really do. And
Goodness.
then but then Flesh Eater Courts and then Beastclaw Raiders was a bit of a step back. And I remember before I went to France.
Hmm.
Because I went to France in 2017, so it was 2 years into AOS at that point, and I had next to no interest in playing it because I'd tried it, the Dark Elves got redone and I had my High Elves, I had some Dark Elves, and I didn't mind playing it because it was a new system. I was a bit burnt out because it was like 6th, 7th edition 40k. It was Decurion and Taudar everywhere, and that was
Yeah,
draining at times. You want to
yeah.
change your pace. I'd just done my Farsight Bomb project, and I was okay with doing something different for a year while I was in while I was in France. I'd done an
Like
Elfin
new country,
adventure.
new me. Let's try something
Yeah,
different.
like I'd done my Elfin adventure project. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed working on Witch Elves and Dark Elves, and like my Harkyon Executioners one-shotting Archaon will never not be fucking funny, because AOS 1 was completely broken.
Yeah.
Um, but then maybe because of my elf bias, but then while I was in France, I did a town called Malice, which was done as a language challenge because I did the series bilingually. I did an episode in English and an episode in French just for my own shits and giggles.
Très bien.
Um, C'était très bien. And I got to play a few games in Warhammer Grenoble and actually got to teach them about how the rules fucking worked because the translations of some of the data sheets were awful. But that's beside the point. And I had a great game against a Seraphon player that literally came down to the last dice roll and all of these things. But
We had some
then,
epic moments.
and I enjoyed that. The Vanguard stuff was a new take on Stormcast, and the Stormcast minis were fine, but I was mostly in Vanguard. And then they double, triple whammied Daughters of Cain into
Mm.
Idoneth Deepkin into AOS 2. Like within 5 months, they just slammed the army I'd been collecting the entire time, and
Mm.
then sea elves out of fucking nowhere, and then new
Well,
edition
indeed,
where
out of
we
fucking nowhere. They just come with the mist.
into Magic Stormcast with noob tubes, bolt crossbow bolts, not trebuchets, repeater bolt throwers. Oh, and now there's an entire army of ghost undead because spirit hosts weren't annoying enough to deal with. And also, the Stormcast actually got some lore explaining the problems with the Anvil of Apotheosis and made the Stormcast actually human and interesting instead of just soulless lightning killbots. And
Yeah,
it was the best thing AOS could have ever done.
yeah. I just
Because
love it when when this kind of soulless, kind of just plastic crack, quote unquote, has a story, or someone is like, by the way, there is a story behind it, and you're instantly more invested, regardless of if you've read it already or not, because you see how people react to it.
And they stop feeling like Space Marines. Like, the thing with Space Marines is they are child soldiers elevated by magic science ball nonsense to make super soldiers, and they're psycho indoctrinated, and they're not human anymore. And that's fine. You can still relate to some of their struggles, even if you can't relate with super soldiers. But the Stormcast went in a completely different direction. They were regular human beings who showed some bravery in the war against chaos, which entirely happened off fucking screen, by the way, which was a big mistake. And then they retained that humanity when they were ascended, and as they died over and over, that humanity began to get stripped away, and they've gone really heavily in that direction, particularly this edition with the ultimate, I forgot the name of the smashing in case of emergency, the hell I can't smash button joke chamber, the rumination chamber, that's it. Who are so far gone that they've been kept out of it because they were just locked up basically in the equivalent of a Stormcast insane asylum. That's how desperate Sigmar is now, that he's let the inmates out of Arkham fucking asylum to go and fight. And it's
absolutely. Just go ahead.
And they really made a point of driving that home. And then they dropped a year or two later the Lumineth, and I know I'm gushing about elves because I'm going to gush about elves, but then they dropped Slanesh, and holy hell, the new Slanesh stuff was so hard to paint. I actually gave up on painting Mortal Slanesh. I don't normally give up, but that project beat me. My Slanesh project actually beat me, and that doesn't happen often.
That's chaos for you. It might just beat you.
And they did really good stuff with the Soulblight Gravelords eventually. Caradron really got fleshed out. Like, they were from AOS 1, don't get me wrong, but they really started getting something. They did different things with the Orcs. I'm not a huge fan of the Cool Boy aesthetic, but they went there and it worked. And then they finally got around to doing Skaven, and they're very much the old Skaven of before, but different. And using Warcry and Underworlds to make some really unique designs. It's made AOS feel completely unique and completely its own thing, and I cannot help but commend the rescue job they did on AOS, because I feel like the AOS 1 they dropped could have very easily been DOA after an edition or two, but they really put the time in. I know the writing team had done loads already, but my god, it took us until AOS 2 to get a fucking map.
Yeah, it sounds like Games Workshop was like, well, we kind of want to bring fantasy back because so many people have asked about it. So let's do something, Age of Sigmar. Just let's have a couple of people doing that and let's focus on 40k. But then they actually were like, well, actually, we have something here. So could we develop it? And then they started to focus on that as well, because it started off very much, at least it feels like it started off very much as a side project for Games Workshop. Go on and play with your fantasy dolls or something like that. But it's just I'm so, as said and stated before, I'm so happy how they had developed the whole thing. And as you said about the kind of the loss of humanity in the Space Marine legions, because they are super soldiers that are not human anymore. That is something okay, devastating things happen in 40k. This is one of the devastating things, the stripping off of humanity from Space Marines. But you cannot relate to them as much as to those characters that start out as humans, that have lived some of their lives as humans, and gradually, when you get to know these characters, look at them and how their humanity is stripped away. And as you said, just what happens at the, well, not perhaps at the end, but still what will happen is that you'll just have to let Arkham Asylum loose. And
I think the best...
Go ahead.
Sorry. The best story for this was It was in Myths and Legends, I think, the third AOS anthology,
Hmm.
where a Stormcast tracks down a Darkling sorceress. You'd think to kill her,
Mm.
but no, he tracks her down to remember because he's forgetting. All his reforgings are making him forget his
Oh,
family and his life before.
oh, poor little
And
dearie.
and the sickening twist is that when he remembers it, which includes, of course, remembering his death in vivid detail,
Ugh.
he's left wandering the waste like a madman, raving for it to stop.
Yeah, understandably so. Sometimes it might just be better to just forget, but of course, humans long remember things. Some even the painful things, and if they are too painful, of course, one might go insane.
Yeah, and the way they've treated the Ionis Cryptborn and Vandus Hammerhand, the original named characters, quote unquote, from AOS 1, they've been really given the treatment. Ionis Cryptborn's got a new mini where he rides a fucking dragon, but that's beside the point. I,
I mean,
they've got,
cool.
cool indeed, but they've got their own story to them. And I think the other thing they did, I think it was in Oaths and uh, Revenant Oaths and something, which I think was the
Mm.
fourth anthology. They actually had Sigmar and Elari in the old Pantheon meeting hall of the gods having a catch up. Like
Huh?
the other difference with AOS to 40k is the gods are real. Like I know the
Yeah.
Chaos gods are real. I know the Emperor's real.
Yeah,
I
but
know
kind of
Gork and Mork are real.
tangible.
Yeah, but tangible. Sigmar is physical, and he's still human-ish. And Alarielle is still that haughty elf princess from Ulthuan, and Nagash is still the jaded psychopath he always was.
Yeah.
And also he's a giant skeleton, but that's not the
Uh,
point. Like you feel like that. Yes, the gods can take to the battlefield, and that's hilarious. That you could just run around and do Nagash beatdown, or whatever. That's amazing in itself. But they
hmm.
actually they they have character, they have flaws. Like the entire Idoneth backstory is Teclis's giant fucking mistake
Yeah.
because he thought he could recreate the High Elves, but he used the last souls of Ulthuan, which happened to be the Sea Elves, and he did such a bad job, he's cursed them to soul decay for the rest of eternity. And it's just awful.
Why
And you
am I
explore that
remem
relationship.
Why am I reminded of the starting monologue of Powerpuff Girls? Like, but Professor Utonium, like, accidentally mixed in something else, Chemical X, and now you have space, no space elves, but sea elves.
The Sea Elves was natural soul material.
Ah.
The complete cack up was Teclis's mistake, and he did it better when he made the Lumineth, which is then explored in the novel Children of Teclis by Evan Dickin, where the Lumineth and the Idoneth have to actually interact and fight against and alongside one another, and the relationship between the two offsprings of Teclis, where Teclis completely blotched up the first one to make the second one better, and it's so good. The writing team
Mm.
at Black Library. Every time I've read AOS, I can't think of a single AOS novel I've read apart from the Hollow King. Sorry, I do have to correct. The Hollow King for me was a miss. Sorry, John French, but
And that's what happens sometimes.
they barely ever miss. Like all the Luminous stuff, the Idoneth stuff, like Court of the Blind King, just does not fucking miss. God Eater's Son, which is an amazing story about how normal humans can end up in the thrall of chaos, despite the fact that they're obviously evil.
Mm.
Even though his mum's a Stormcast, yeah,
Yep.
uh, his mum is died and became a Stormcast, and he's become a Chaos Lord, and it's like, oh god, that's a fun dynamic.
Yeah,
Um,
indeed.
uh,
Like, hey, let's have a family reunion. Let's
and
not.
yeah, and Hamilcar Bear Eater, who makes the most hilarious Space Wolf look like a jabroni because he's just hilarious. Uh, AOS's literature is so good. I think I would challenge your point of they threw it out because they felt like it because they killed fantasy. I think it was the opposite problem.
All
Is
right.
they they planned to kill fantasy because the end times took a while to write and execute, and we can argue the merits of the end times until we're blue in the face. I don't think we're going to have that conversation today. Um, but there was always a plan to replace it because money.
Ah.
Um, but
Yeah.
I think unlike when they released the Heresy game, they trusted that there would be, hey, this is new fantasy. People are going to want to pick this up because they'll recognize their old armies or they'll want to try the new shiny thing. They
Mm.
didn't give the consideration that they gave Heresy, which is, hey, this is for you want to entice a new fan base, sure, but you've also got a hardcore old school fan base here who want something new, or actually are probably quite cross that you killed the old thing.
Yeah.
You've got to give them a hook, and if you don't give them the lore and the not, you can't just say, "Oh, here's some new minis, here's a new game system, go play it, have fun, kill your toys, kids." Like, yes, people are going to do that. I did that, but I was crying out for the backstory, and they thought, "Oh, it's fine. Like, we don't need to throw all the lore out immediately. That will just overwhelm the new players because they won't understand this new universe yet."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and the old guard will just want to play with their minis again and actually not want to spend 5 hours dissecting the backstory of how we got from fantasy to this, and the fact that it is a direct sequel to fantasy, even though it's in a parallel dimension,
Yeah.
or possibly in the warp. Um,
Tree, tree,
it's
tree.
it's one of those. I think they thought that the game would be carried by the game and the miniatures alone, and didn't give the lore enough thought. Whereas when they did
Yeah.
Heresy, like they barely put any minis out, but trusted the players to read. I
Mm.
know, I know, asking people to read.
And nowadays,
Um,
even. Goodness.
I know, but trusting that the players will do the reading, get invested, and actually want to understand, because the Horus Heresy was always something people knew about, and it would had enough hype to carry itself. But they
Yeah.
put the groundwork in and wrote the backstory for everything as well. And yes, they had the Black Libraries to work with; they didn't have to do all the extra writing, but they did. They made the effort, and
Mm.
I know that when you get to AOS 2, partially in AOS 1, but especially in AOS 2, once you get past the, oh, they're a god beast and there's a big war on, it's like, okay, why is there a big war on? Why do we need this big war? And why? Apparently Sigmar and Nagash used to be besties, but now they've unfriended each other. Why did they unfriend each other? Oh, it's because of the Stormcast, because of Sigmar's soul stores. Why does that matter? And they didn't
Mm.
take the time because they didn't throw all the lore out early to do that. Or if they did, it felt like it was just surface level. And then they got to AOS 2 and went, actually, no, we're going to explore the Sigmar Nagash relationship, and
Mm.
also
Yeah.
we're going to draw a fucking map because maps matter. Like,
Maps
by God,
do.
the maps. Like, if you want to create a fantasy RPG/tabletop game, you need a map.
Yeah, because all the people who are going to be playing the game, they will be looking at maps and looking for maps and be like, please give me a map.
Yeah, like artwork to explain why this realm looks the way it does, or even just what it fucking looks like. Like, we didn't see a picture of the realm of light for an edition and a fucking half.
Really?
Like, when they dropped Lumineth and properly
How?
actually went into Hish, like Realm of Fire, oh, it's just hot and deserty. Okay. Oh, Realm of Life, it's forests and swamps. Okay. Realm of Death, now we're getting somewhere. We've got a necropolis dimension.
Mm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Realm of Shadow, everything's all sneaky, like with secret back alleys, and everyone's backstabbing everyone. And it's also perpetually Twilight at best. So okay, that's cool.
That
Realm of
sounds just
Beasts.
like Blades in the Dark. But anyway.
Realm of Beasts, it's Savage Wilds because everybody's out of control. Okay, cool. That still not going very far. Realm of
Mm.
Metal. Oh, it's a lot of metallics, but also unbound magic because Zinch got his claws into it. Okay.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, and alchemy and metallurgy is just a thing, but then you've got wild magic because of Zinch, and it kind of goes all over the place. And you've got etheric currents and ether gold and all this lot. And then you've got Hish, which is the realm of light, this order realm where
Mm.
the elves rule and Teclis and Tyrion live, and it's basically Ulthuan.
Yep.
Design wise, it's kind of basically a bit like Ulthuan, but then it's like they go to the trouble of, okay, why is the Order realm fallen apart? Why has it gone wrong? Oh, yeah, the elves did the elf thing, and then there were demons, and they went through all the
The elves did
explaining the
the elf
spire.
thing, and then there were demons, is a quote that I shall steal from you, and I shall tell people that it was Neve. Neve told me some wise
Yeah,
words.
yes, hubris nemesis. They did a really, really, really good job with it, but it took them so long to get there that by the time it did get there, a lot of people had checked out. And like for me now, I don't play AOS because Warhammer Club. I've only really got time for 40k. My Idoneth sit
Mm.
in a box in a cupboard somewhere. I found them before I packed up for summer, and I was like, "Oh, you poor summer children. You've
Mm.
sat here for over a year now." But um, it's like I'm still interested in seeing the minis, and I'll probably not get a chance to play the game, but I'm still interested. And that's something that, to its credit, AOS has managed to do is it's kept me interested. But God, if you were an AOS 1 stan who really was in the trenches in AOS 1 trying to make people care, I feel so sorry for you.
That must have been a task.
Yeah, we were all right because we had a few people who had some old fantasy armies that we could use, but God, trying to get someone new in was impossible until AOS 2.
Yeah. That's what happens when you just give some like very, very small tidbits and then you just like waltz away to another thing and you're like kind of reaching for anything to grasp onto, but there's nothing. But when you give substance to things, that's when it gets good.
Indeed. And GW finally learned their lesson. So happy 10th birthday, Age of Sigmar. You took a while to get in gear, but once you did, you never looked back. And if you are interested in the new Hellsmiths of Hashut, they're currently running a 10th anniversary competition where you can win the Chaos Dwarf box set, etc. If that interests you, just thought you ought to know. Yeah, what is it? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I stand corrected. As part of it, you you have to download a special battle plan or rules module for Spearhead, play a game, sign up the newsletter, and then report the results, which gets you entries into a draw. So yeah, you just basically have to play the game. But yeah, you can win the Chaos Dwarf army set and then a Spearhead of your choice. As well. So you can get 2 armies if you win. There are 10 winners apparently, and you've got until the end of August to do that if you are interested.
I will make a mental note and tell all my friends.
Sounds good. But yes, that was a bit of a random tangent. And I think what's interesting is like they've done all these lore articles about AOS's history, and they're worth a read. But God, the entirety of AOS 1's lore is summed up in probably what you consider 3 actual paragraphs.
So what is the rest of the text all about?
The Realmgate Wars, which was a narrative series of books and campaigns that happened during AOS 1, that honestly, a lot of it was not really fleshed out until later. And then the last bit is about, oh, hey, elves and dwarves are a thing. It's like, yeah, at the end of AOS 1. And then the last bit is, oh, Nagash's plan. Yeah, that was literally the last thing written in AOS 1 and basically all of AOS 2. So, doesn't count.
Yeah.
Ah, well. But no, it is interesting, and I do think that GW finally did get it. But it did take
Slowly
them
but
a
surely.
hot minute. Yeah, and I think they learned their lesson because with fantasy, much as I think the first thing they've done that's really important is they've made a point of rushing a key backstory for the events that are going on, but they've sort of also put out the sort of what are they called, the arcane journals for certain wider groups so that people have got a bit of something to get their teeth into. Because when they dropped AOS, they just dropped, oh, here are the rules for your army. Okay, thanks. But there's nothing else. Whereas even if you don't play the Empire or Britannia or Tomb Kings, even if you play some of the other factions, there's still been something for you to give you some world building to start with while you wait for your arcane journal.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just very happy for Age of Sigmar for coming all this way.
Absolutely. Right. I was going to do some more questions with the previous episode with Rem, but there's also there's a couple of questions on the most recent episode. I'm just having a look. Well, since we're talking about AOS, and it's one question that I've been really wondering about for ages now because this faction has been a thing since AOS 1. We're now in AOS 4 for context. What do you think the Malerian faction will be like the Shadow Elves of Malekith. They've got a bunch of different names, the Umbraneth, and all sorts of different things. Like, what are they going to be like, and what are they going to do? Because the Lumineth are fighting Nagash and all this. And what we know about them is shadow demons. They have shadow demons.
All right.
We assume they have elves, but they also have shadow demons, which we know from a excerpt in the AOS 1 Daughters of Cain battle tome. It's been that long.
Really?
It's been it's been 7 years since this faction were teased. 7 years, Naerina.
Very, very slowly indeed.
But I really think there's an interesting direction to take them, because the Lumineth are very much this, very much like the High Elves of old, and the Daughters of Cain play a bit like the Dark Elves of old, but not really, because there's just the subset of the Cult of Cain with a few bits tacked on. They have the chance, if they want, to pull some of the Dark Elf stuff from Cities of Sigmar, the Darkling Covens, the standard spearmen, shades, bolt throwers, assassins, the standard things that Dark Elves always did, and make that, because why wouldn't he make his own petty little Nagaroth in the corner? But I think, just like with Lumineth, where they introduced, the big mountain cow, can't forget the big mountain cow, and other things. I really think that they have a chance to do some real cool stuff with shadow magic. Like, Marathi has not really gone too deep on shadow magic, because apart from the Keenite Shadow Stalkers, which are a great Warcry kill team, by the way, they've mostly focused on the blood rites of Cain and, Marathi Cain, now that she's made herself a false god. Demigod, god. Is she a god? Yeah, she's a god. But they've mostly focused on the blood rites. That's their thing. Whereas Shadow has been left quite open for Malerian as the Lord of the Realm of Shadow, rather than being the one that escaped out of Slanesh's gullet. So I think that's interesting, that they could really, really do something with shadowy mages and wisps, like a sort of different take on like spirit hosts, but they're like wisps, wisp hosts.
Yeah, this kind of will-o-wisp kind of things. And also, well, explain your things first, and then I'm going to add to it, because I have an idea of how cool it would be, what they would look like. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, like we'd have Shadow Warriors. I think did they redo Shadow Warriors like not that long ago? I swear they did. Shadow Warriors Warhammer. No, no, they haven't. Oh, it's because they put them in Total Warhammer. I've gotten confused. Yeah, like Shadow Warriors used to be like just the name of the anti-Malekith High Elves who would like sneak around and be all stealth assassin. Yeah, but Malekith had the Shades, who were his equivalent, but they could actually use proper Shadow Warriors now, who have shadow cloaks that allow them to phase in and out of dimensions and into pocket dimensions and oubliettes like the Dark Elder Mandrakes do. And like in my head, I've got like these shadow gargoyle things that can plummet, like pop in and out, and I really think teleportation and maneuverability should be a real asset for this faction. That the Lumineth fight fast and fight hard together. The Idoneth strike and fade. The Daughters of Cain rush you down. The Umbraneth should do none of those things. They should make the battle as unfair as possible and pull BS on you constantly, because I call hacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking about it along the same lines, like where, for instance, the Idoneth are like the tide; they come and they go, but like I think these kind of shadowy creatures, like Umbraneth, they should be the people who do the very unfair things, like basically moving literally in the shadows. So, for instance, if you are on a map and like in a place, I'm not sure how one would do this actually in a game, in a place where there would be a heavy shadow or something like that, you would think twice to put your miniature in there, because you just might have a spawning place for a shadowy elf.
Or even literally your own shadow can get you. Like,
Oh,
you
think
could,
about like replacing people's shadows with warriors. That would be so cool.
like you could cast a spell or have like a faction ability that allows you to curse their shadows, or like implant a unit within their shadow, and if they enter terrain where it's all, the shadows can like surround them, then it causes a unit to be summoned. Or if they go too near to the board edge, or just general, it would probably be really unfun to play, and probably they would never do.
Yeah.
um
But from a story
but
point of view, how cool would that be?
yeah, I I think that is a really cool place. And also, remember, Malekith fused with his dragon. So
Hmm.
we have the Witch King fused with a dragon infused with shadow magic. Like, we saw those corrupt undead dragons earlier.
Oh,
Those,
yeah.
the idea of a full on shadow dragon god elf thing. Like, it's part of me that thinks, like, uh, this is a really out there reference. The Great Leviathan with darts as a headpiece from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged,
Oh, yeah.
um, or just Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 4,
Mm.
where he's literally like, coming out of the dragon's head as like an embodiment, or you've got this weird fusion of man and elf, that's of beast and elf, that's neither big enough to be a dragon but is still borne aloft on titanic shadowy wings, while still maintaining this lithe elven silhouette with a, a towering helm, because Malekith always had a big hat, and like a claw, a bit like a demon prince with a claw in one hand and a black blade in another.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I, I don't. We've seen one image of him, and I don't think they're going to go quite in that route. It's a bit more dragony, but again, that image is 7 years old at this point.
Mm-hmm. Very
Um,
true.
so I don't know. I really think there's something they could do with it, and I really want to see where that faction goes if they ever bother. Also, while we're here, release the Kanothi. You've given them 2 Warcry warbands of the Centaur elves now. Just do it. Come on.
Yeah. And I'm also like, I'm thinking visually what those, like, kind of Umbraneth, what they could look like is like where the Idoneth are kind of these very, pun intended, fishy looking creatures, like bald heads, etc., etc. I think the Umbraneth could have these kind of, not the kind of spikes that the Drukhari have, for instance, but I
No,
think,
that would be
like, in my
copyright
mind,
infringement.
in in my mind, they have like kind of this long hair that is kind of dark and flowy, and they have this kind of airy like clothes, and if they have some sort of scales, for instance, on their faces or in their armor to represent the kind of dragon aspect of their god, that would be so cool, so that you could paint it like, for instance, like the hair and the capes, etc., could be kind of very part of the shadows, etc., so kind of very flowy kind of evil characters.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something really, really interesting they could do, and I can't wait for them to do it
I'm
eventually.
eagerly waiting. I'm pretty sure it's going to be nothing like what I just imagined. But how cool would it be if it was? Anyway.
Agreed. Yes, right. We could probably ramble long into the night
Oh, we could,
about.
we could.
Oh God, uh, seriously, the amount of different ideas, and I as there was a video I never made, that I wondered about when the gun drone
Hmm.
was born, and I never got a chance to make it. I sat down to record it, and I never got through it. I couldn't get through. I couldn't write the script or ad lib it.
Mm.
And I think it's something that, as a parent, I would never have made this video until I became a parent. It was about legacy, and that's an odd thing for a random ass YouTuber who's been doing this since they were 17 to say, but of like what you leave behind, not in terms of
Yeah.
when you're gone, but what I'm not going to hand this channel over to anyone, and I've made a point that the gun drone is represented as I'm talking about them as a gun drone instead of a child, um, just to stay in character,
Hmm.
because that matters. And
Yeah.
but I also know that I have literal thousands of pounds and thousands of hours of this hobby just sat at school and in the shed, and I think there's a box of stealth suits downstairs, in up on a high shelf, and all of these different things. And I'm just like, I don't know if they'll be interested in taking up the hobby, and that's their choice, and I'm not going to tell them one way
Mhm.
or another. But it's what you leave behind and what you can. I feel like it's a great hobby to pass on because it's so expensive to get into in the first place. And I suppose for you as an artist, like you, and as a content creator in your own right, don't get me wrong, but as an artist and a creator and a creative, uh, there'll be a day when the cherub, as I've decided is your equivalent to the gun drone,
Yeah.
um, will look back at all the works you made, and I, you could almost like, you typically make photo albums of your kids for your kids, and that's fine.
Mhm.
But you could almost make your own a timeline of the Naerina art saga of this is why this is a universe that I got really into, and all the different things you've done, and sort of
Yeah.
talk about the stories and the people, and I don't know.
Well, fun
I
fact.
didn't know how to script the video, so I never made it.
Oh, that's a shame. I hope that there will be a video at some point. But yeah, fun fact. I have like at some point, I think it was 2014, when I started to actually draw not just papers but in sketchbooks. And I still have like a sketchbook with me every day. I don't draw it into it every day or daily on a daily basis. And nowadays I do quite a lot of art digitally as well.
Of
However,
course.
I can go and look back at those drawings from 2014 and just when looking at them, I'm just seeing already like how far I've gone as an
Mm.
artist and how much I've developed. I can only imagine, like if the darling cherub over there, now sleeping hopefully peacefully, if if she ever feels like, oh God, like I would like to be able to draw, but I know I can't draw as good as, for instance, mum or something like that, so I won't even try. I'm going to sit her down and show her those books, and
Mm.
then show this kind of development that has happened. And I'm going to try and like put an emphasis on the fact that I've compared myself to a lot of people, but first and foremost, I've done all the art, all the content for myself. Because if I started to compare myself, all the people that are better than me, there are so many people that are better than me. There have always been, they always will be. I
Yeah.
would never do anything. Like during the tangent yet again because we're so good at those. During the last year, because the darling cherub is now a 1 year old,
What the
like I
actual?
yeah, like that's so weird. Anyway, I started writing a story. Just like we had a discussion of stories in when we were like in the sauna with my husband, and I was like throwing out an idea for a magic system. I was like, yeah, that could work. And I was like, well, what's the setting? Because I want to write something about this. And I was like, hey, I have a set of characters that have nothing to do and that are just sitting there. Okay, I'll just write a short little story and be happy with it. I'm at 130 pages when it comes to, the A4 sizes of pages. I'm at the halfway point of the story. It keeps getting bigger, and I'm scared. And I know that I don't read a lot. And everyone always says that all the greatest writers are also great readers. And I know that I'm not a great reader. And from time to time, that gets to me. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
should I just stop doing this? Because I know I'm not a great reader, so I can never be a great writer. But then I'm like, who are you making this for? Like, okay, if you get this ever published, whoopity-doo, wonderful. But you're rating this for yourself.
Yeah.
And then I'm just trying to come back to that moment of doing this for myself. Though it might be, as you said, a legacy for our children. Like they can look to what we have done and hopefully be impressed. If not, well, sucks to be them. But still, like, this is something. Well, those videos that you have made, those like people that you've influenced with, by knowing so much about Warhammer, by playing it with, for instance, in the club, like
Yeah,
introducing this world to so many people. You have made so many changes in other people's lives for the better just by being you and just by doing what you love. And that's already a legacy in so
and
many people's lives.
that's what we do as educators, not just, as hobbyists, but as what we do as
Yeah,
educators. And in many ways, what we try to do as parents is just be the best version of ourselves and try and make a positive impact on the people around us. And sometimes we get it
emphasis on
right.
try.
Sometimes we introduce people to the idea of toasters for their Warhammer army, and we realise that they've now got irradiated toasters for an army, and you hate them because they keep rad bombing you. But but
Yeah.
yeah, it is. I don't know, just something that I don't. I look back at my content now, and there's a part of me that cringes because it makes me dysphoric to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know this because one of my classes found some of my old content because I made some science videos in lockdown and they stumbled on them.
Mm.
And looking and listening to it back, I literally I had to turn. I was like, just watch it if you want, but put your headphones in because I can't listen to that. I and I think that's partially the dysphoria talking part rather than anything else because I've only made 3 videos and the podcast since I transitioned.
Mm.
Um, if that, I would be 2. But anyway, it is something that it's hard. I'm I don't know. I don't have the right words, and that's why I haven't made the video. And I could ramble again until literally a month of Sundays, and I'd not get the words right. Um, but I think about the gun drone in their charging bay, and I think you're going to see the work I've done, both as a creator and as a hobbyist. And you've seen the work. You'll see the minis I made when I was 12, and they looked awful. Then, as you said about, oh, Mum's really good at this, so I'm not going to because I'm never going to be that good. Please look at the first videos I ever made. They were recorded on an iPad that I held.
Really?
Yeah, literally, my first videos were recorded on an iPad that I had on on its own kickstand with no mic, no headphones, no camera quality, no nothing. It was just me and an iPad and the YouTube Creator Studio app.
But
That
you
was
had something
literally.
to say, so you made a video.
Yes, and that was because one of my friends told me to make a YouTube channel because I was still really interested in Warhammer. I was getting burnt out on Sixth, and
Mm.
well, we're still here over 10 years. We're still here 11 and a half years later, which it says something in and of itself. And like this entire show is like something that it's a time capsule,
It
right?
is.
And more so than the content we make that. Well, apart from the videos that get retconned because they update the lore, I'm still salty about the fact that I dropped my Ultramarines lore video and they brought Gilliman back the following week.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
I'm
remember how salty you were back then as well.
I'm still salty, um, but
That's what
I
happens.
this show is a real time capsule of who we were, what was going on, and what the world of Warhammer was like,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it it makes you smile. It makes you want to cry sometimes because you're just like Jesus Christ. I'm old and I've reached the point now where I don't understand all the memes that the kids are talking about in class. I've officially reached the point where I'm not down with the kids enough anymore. Uh,
I've embraced it. I'm becoming the very embarrassing teacher, and I'm relishing in it.
yeah, I will quite happily go down to their level and rinse them, but they're just like that's usually because I can then I've always got a witty what they find witty.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
It's not usually funny, but it gets a reaction, and thus I've
yeah.
always got
The
one
kind of
charged up.
teenage witty.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, Mrs. put me in my box here. I'm going to shush now. Kind of wit, but it works. Well, it sometimes works, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
I,
I do that. I
I
do too.
yeah, it just you come back full circle to what I was saying right at the top of the program about the the students who've left and gone on to do their own projects, and I look at the armies they left with and what what they would make of the collections they've got now with the new stuff that fits their collections. What would they think of it? And I think about, will they go and start their own clubs? Are they going to be the next podcaster or creator, or are they going to be the one who sets up the next club that spawns the next generation? And that's, or are they going to look back and think about? I still remember the teacher who took us to Warhammer World on a school trip. No
Oh.
idea how they. I don't know how they licensed that one to get us out of lessons to go to Warhammer World when we were in GCSEs. But they
All right.
did. I still remember that teacher. He was a great. It wasn't the. I don't think he ever taught me, but he was a great bloke.
Yeah.
And I wonder, will there be kids in 5-10 years time who go, oh, Miss such was my who ran our Warhammer club, and she showed us all this cool stuff, but also she gave me an underlying PTSD of Tau. So I it's just,
Oh, there will be those people, and at some point, because this has already happened to me, at some point you're going to be at the store just buying something random for whatever you're going to cook for that day, and one of those people is going to come up to you like, "Hey, how are you?" And you'll be like, oh my God, who is this? Oh my God, who is this? Ah, I should remember.
oh,
Ah.
funny that one. There's a young man who I was his form tutor
Mm-hmm.
in my first year or so, and he lives like on the next estate. So
All
every
right.
few weeks, I'll walk down past his estate, and we'll see one another. Just go, all right, miss. I wasn't even miss when I taught him,
But
but
how cool is that? That like this person is just like, all right, I'm this now. Cool.
yeah, and just yeah, you've got the other side of it where you're walking through town and they go, "Hey, miss, what are you doing? I thought you lived in your classroom," and all this garbage. Well, okay, I've not had that one. I'm not going to repeat the things I've heard when I've been walking through town because I think they probably get this
Mm.
show taken off the air. But actually, that's the stuff that this show's said in the past. I don't say anything gets taken off the air. Frederick. Uh,
Yeah, of all the people, Frederick.
Frederick. The, Oh well. Moving on. Anyway, I said I'd wrap this up about 15 minutes ago, and I've just kept rambling, so I'm going to stop now. That has been. I didn't even check the episode number. That has been today's episode of Adeptus Podcastus. I hope you have enjoyed it. It has been an absolute joy to talk to you again, Naerina. It has been far too long.
It
Please do not
has.
be such a stranger. Although I appreciate, I understand that parental duties call, and they do
Yeah.
mean that you can't always do it.
Yeah, darling dearie, be careful, otherwise I'll just spam you with my kids' pictures like, oh my God, look at her, she's sitting down. Oh my God, look at her, she's smiling.
I've been through that phase of you just can't stop taking, but then they start walking around and you have to chase them. You don't get time to pick your camera up because they're always, by the time you get the camera in your hand, they've thrown off. So,
Yeah. Thank goodness I have the Oblivion remaster, and she's absolutely obsessed with the theme music. So every time I start the game, she just crawls back to me, or just something along those lines. Tries to climb, like with the help of the what is it called in English? The coffee table. Just
yeah.
like leans on it and starts to sway to the theme music, and I'm like, I can't play this game when you're here. But that's a very good way to get her back from her mischief adventures.
Yes, yes. We're currently on Peppa Pig.
Oh,
I think
right.
that's the current era. But
Yeah.
anyway, I feel like there's a whole separate parent podcast that could be done here, but we're going to wrap this up because that's not as
Tune in next
so.
week when.
Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and putting up with all the tangents and rambles and not answering questions. So please, if you did leave a question on this episode or on the previous one, on the previous episode or the one before, because I didn't get a chance to do either, and you want to ask them again, particularly for Remleiz, then please do leave them in the comment section below. And I will make time to do a question section at some point, or Rem will, or whoever the guest is will. We'll make time to do a question section at some point because we do still value your questions. We've been doing this tradition since like episode fucking 4, and
Yep.
we still do it, and you still engage with it. And thank you. Just from me, considering that I've been doing this now for far too long, I thank you for continuing to stick by this show because it's been through a lot of
It's a good
changes and
show.
iterations and game shows and all this other stuff we've done. And somehow thousands of people still choose to watch it every couple of weeks. So thank you for that. It's
Thank you.
appreciated.
You're awesome.
And with that, this has been Neve from Tactica Imperialis.
And this has been Naerina from 40k Theories.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.